Hello there, my name's Chris. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you've not watched any of my videos before. In this episode, the second episode of 2024, I want to go over a few updates. I'm going to quickly talk about where I'm at with this riveting of the Academy CH-53E. I've got some paint down on the Wingnut Wings Felixstowe interior, so we'll talk about that. I actually built a model. Yes, inspired by Mr. Harry Houdini with his build of the, well, attempted build of the Airfix Heracles. I've put mine together. We'll talk a little bit about that, about how much fun it is to put together an ancient kit. And I'll give you a quick preview of some of the new kits that I've bought, including the short Sunderland. And so if you're interested in watching any or all of that, stay tuned. Wingnut Wing Felixstowe. There's the instructions, what the interior will hopefully look like by the end of this procedure. So what I've done is I've basically just put the base paint down. I went through the instructions, and as good as they are fantastic. If you've never read the instructions of Wingnut Wings or actually built a kit, they're fantastic instructions. The only downside is the damn complexity in this model. I mean, you know, this is the interior alone, and in fact, I'm even thinking about just finishing it to the finished state that you'll see in this painting guide. Just doing for that. If I can get this done this year, I think I'll be happy. So all I've done is I've gone through the instructions. I've made a big list. I can't find it. It's off camera somewhere, but I made a big A4 list. If I do find it, I'll try to put it up and work out, okay, which parts require what paint, because you seem to jump back and forward. Basically, the entire interior is timber, 2 different tones, they say. I've had some excellent help from some fantastic archivists and researchers on the Felixstowe to get a look at what actual colours are used, what's inside, and of course I'm using other people's fantastic builds. I'm a complete novice at this sort of thing. I've never built, I've done the Albatross. I did a Wingnut Wings Albatross, which is like, you know, the interior is that big, not that big. Okay, so basically all I've done is I've painted the dark areas of the timber, because this is basically a timber hull boat with wings attached, and they made the bottom in carvel planks, and they were tarred. Now I've actually painted mine with dark grey. I think I did, yeah, with some SMS dark grey or some RAF ocean grey, not completely black. You can see how I've done the hulls here. The underside, it's given a protective coating. I wanted to go just a little bit lighter than pure black, so if I want to enhance the contrast, I can. I've done the underside of that's the cowling, I guess you could say. That's the top, goes like this all the way along. Excuse all the masking tape. Okay, and clear dope linen, because that is actually all linen with timber slots, so that's just done with the MRP clear dope linen. And then everything else I've painted with Tamiya lacquer paint LP75, which is just buff. And that's the basis for what's the next process. That's good, just using the airbrush, which is doing oil work. And so that's what I'll be doing next. I had to stop and put some photo etch on some of these parts there. See if I can get in those steering wheels. I've got some tiny photo etch. And there's going to be some rigging involved internally. I don't know how far I'm going to go. You're really not going to see much, but I would really like to build up to this stage, you know, and painted, rigged, nicely weathered before I put my figures in, because the figures will hide a lot of the detail that you see here, and just for posterity's sakes. And then that's a good place to pause. In fact, it's a good place to pause the video. So now let's go and move on to the Academy Super Stallion. The Academy Super C Stallion 148 scale. If you're not familiar with this build and you're new to my channel, I've been building this for quite a long time. I've bitten off way more than I can chew. If you'd like to see one that's almost finished, I'd please go to Brian, I always stuff up your name, John, apologise, to Facebook, John Byron Scale Models. He's almost finished his. He says he reckons he'll have it done by the end of March. He has riveted his like I have done on mine, but his focus is more on the exterior. I've done a lot more interior work, but like me, he replaced the Academy engine nozzles, because there's 3 massive engines on the C Stallion. There's the third one, that's for the other side. Oops, in camera Chris. Okay, with these 3D printed resin, you get the black and the grey bits, because I've had to, long story, I don't know if I've got the patience to tell you the whole story about this, but anyway, long story short, the res kit stuff is fantastic. They make some magnificent things, and they're coming out with things, new stuff all the time, which is pretty admirable of them, because they're under bombardment by the Russians almost daily. There in Ukraine. But unfortunately, they don't fit the Academy kit. You have to do some major modifications to get them to fit because they're overscale, they're oversized, and apart from one or two minor things, which is these, I think they're called EADs or EATs or something, these little dots on here, they don't actually add that much more detail to the original engine. So I've added some Edward photo etch on the inside of mine and just a little bit of card and made some hinges, rescribed, add some fasteners on it. But that's beside the point. That's what has to be done to the Academy kit. But if you're contemplating this build or the MH-53E, which has just been re-released for a fairly good price, you can get them quite easily. Don't buy the res kit ones. I warned John, he didn't listen to me and he went ahead. So I'm just going to show you and him for what I had to do to get, because the problem is, because it's so big, this third one, the third engine which goes into the fuselage here, it won't fit properly, okay? You have to do some substantial modification. Maybe you can see all the layers of putty and glue and everything I've had to do to fair that into that little outlet here, which on the Academy kit parts fits absolutely perfectly, whereas on this one it does not. I've also had to make, again, not res kit's problem, but Academy doesn't include the mounts, so I've made some struts there with some rivets. Maybe I should tighten up. There we go, you can see now my poor handiwork. So that's pinned in. I'm just going to see if I can bring this out, but I've made a mount there and also there, so that has a guiding point. So I've got a long pin there that goes in and there, so it fits. But yeah, if you try to install this as normal, you're going to run into troubles, and that's what happened to John. His is hitting the side of this engine nacelle, the external one, whereas yeah, you have to do considerable amount of reshaping and forming. I've added a latch there, that's no big deal. And then you can see on the, I'll just take this out so that's what it looks like. Okay, and there's the extra, that's the Edward sheet. I think I've actually got one of those parts upside down, but too late, I'm not going anymore. This is just held on with liquid tape. It's that sticky stuff there. I've relocated the mounts because the mounts are wrong on the Academy kit. Let's see if I can get this in. That's not the first time I've said that. So there it is. So that's it sitting there, and yeah, it has to be completely reshaped. You can see I've added plastic. Well, that's an extra seam, but that had to be completely reshaped. It was countless hours and hours and hours of reforming and reshaping for what, you know, I don't know why the original res kit guys didn't just try to see if their test print fitted, because it didn't. So anyway, I did that late last year, warned everybody about it, and then just to put this in context, what I'm actually doing to the model is adding these, which are Archer, you can feel that, Archer external rivets. They're all over. I did the tail a long time ago. One of the pieces of photo etch has fallen off there. I just got to reattach it. I scratch built in a new rotor mechanism and down there as well, because you have to cut that all the way through and you can see all the way through. So what I have done this week, this is what this whole update's about, is sponsons. Okay, that one not finished, and neither is this one, but it's closer to finishing. Okay, you can see the patterns. I need to fill in a few more patterns there. You can see there's a lot of silvering. That's normal with these Archer rivets. Okay, I will hit them with a little bit of microsol once they're completely dry. This is completely dry. It doesn't need any fixes, I don't think, from memory. So I'll hit it with microsol, wait it to completely dry, and then I'll hit it with the Gunze GX113, and that's what I've done with this, the tail unit, and I've got other parts that I've all riveted as well. And then the silvering completely disappears, so I'm not worried about that at all. The only problem, of course, is underside. This is actually completely covered in rivets. There's like 18 rows of rivets there, which you won't see. I'm only going to add a few here and there because there's fuel tanks, which I've got over there, which I've modified. And then underneath, of course, there's a landing gear with the Edward set, which doesn't really fit that well, if I'm honest. It has lots of rivets too. Mine's going to be in flight, so you will actually be able to see a little bit of it, but I've got, let's see if I can remember to show you these. I've only got a limited amount of, these are, you know, expensive, $22 a sheet. I've already gone through several sheets. There's some extras. Because I'm going to be riveting the entire fuselage, I've got to be a bit economical. I'm trying to get it just right, but if it's not 100% right, that's not the end of the world. You know, and then the hole underneath of the aircraft, I don't have the part here, but that whole part here underneath, you know, which is very long. I should zoom out, shouldn't I? Okay, it's got 1,000 rivets as well. So I've got to be fairly economical about where I'm going to put it, where can you actually see it. So slow progress, but progress. So whew, this is the one I really want to finish this year. Let's see if that actually happens. So with that, let's go have a segue into, I don't know, what I'm going to look at. Yes. Oh, I actually nearly finished a model. Let's have a look at an Airfix kit. Airfix recently re-released the Handley Page Heracles or Hercules in 1/144 scale, and it is a vintage, as it says. It's a 1960 something or other boxing. Nothing's updated in there apart from decals, which is a good thing. But yeah, I built it. Well, technically I didn't. Harry Houdini, if you watch his channel, is mainly a ship builder, but he does the occasional aircraft and tank and sci-fi things as well. He loves his Airfix. I'm quite different. I really don't enjoy Airfix that much. In fact, I call them Airfucks, because I've had more fuck-ups with Airfix than I had, excuse the French, than I have had good kits. Yeah, they're still solid B grade, don't get me wrong. They do some really nice kits, but you have to put a lot of work into them. I'm a Tamiya fanboy, proud Tamiya fanboy. Love how they flow together and go together, but yeah, this one didn't, and I should... I didn't slap it together because Harry actually, I lent him my kit to do a review, because he saw it one day and went, oh, can I have a look at that? And so yeah, here you go. And his review was actually, he pretty much built the entire wings and the struts. So I got it back off him after I watched his video and cursed him and said, oh, come on, got him a new kit. So he's got a new one that's unmolested, and I fixed this one. And unfortunately he didn't go far enough, but his original one, he didn't show you that it had a massive short shot. Now what's a short shot? Well, that's when a part is pulled out of the mold and it doesn't fill completely. So this has been a constant pain I've had with Airfix for years. All their new modern kits, I've had problems with their Lightning, their Walrus. What else? I've still got the Walrus. It's a pretty good kit. A few other things that I've made. The Sea Fury had a short shot on the fuselage on the tail. Their quality control is nowhere near as good as everybody else. Okay, every other manufacturer, modern manufacturer out there, is miles ahead in Airfix and quality control. That doesn't mean that their kits are bad. It just means that the way they make them is not good enough, and they need to fix that. Or they're because yeah, I've got a few Airfix kits. I've got their new 1/24 scale Spitfire, beautiful kit, which I'm dying to do. I've just downloaded a 3D pilot for him for the 1/24 because they don't put their bloody pilots in their kits these days. I've got the Sea King on order. I'm probably going to buy the Buccaneer. So I'm not an anti-Airfix person, but they really do need to lift their game in terms of quality control. However, having said that, this is a really old kit. I don't know if you can see there's lots of the fit here. The canopy was atrocious. There was a gap there. I had to fill that with plasticard. You can probably just see the piece of card. I think it was a 0.4mm card there. I've done some filler. Yeah, filler, upside down Miss Jane, filler. But it's a 60-year-old kit. I mean, all the struts bits I've had to reinforce with super glue and fill them in because they just didn't work properly. I haven't put all the struts in. There's a couple missing in the back. Couldn't be bothered. I know the exhausts aren't done properly on these engines. Couldn't be bothered. The only thing I did, I think, was I just rescribed some of these moving surfaces. They were too shallow. They weren't very crisp enough. Look, you can go to town on this, and I've done a little bit. You can see on the tail there, I've just added a few struts. There's lots more struts in there. There's also supposed to be a balance thing there. See if I can put a photo up. This is becoming a very long video, I apologise. But yeah, you can go to town with this little kit. It's a great little kit. You can build an interior if you want. There's nothing in there. Put some curtains. I just put it together. I just wanted to build something. It's one colour. It's silver. So I'm just going to mask off those windows, mask off the portholes, whatever you want to call them, with some liquid mask, and spray it with some Tamiya rattle can silver and chuck the decals on and call it a day. That's all I wanted to do. That's, why do all aircraft don't have to be these big, massive projects that you take on, like a Felixstowe or whatever. But yeah, if you're in the market for something, unique and different, you can't really go wrong with this kit. It does. You've got to look out for things just don't fit right. Things aren't engineered correctly, like these landing struts. They just don't fit. You have to adjust them, change the length of the struts. Increase the size of the holes. I think I drilled through one of them because the hole, that one. There's the black bit. I drilled through the wing because that thing just wouldn't fit in there properly and level. The wings are off. The wheels are off at the moment, and just a lot of elbow work with putty. My favourite putty I like using with this one is the new Mr. Surfacer, the alcohol based one, not the lacquer based one, because it cleans up really, really nicely. So, you know, when you've got these ridges here, it'll fill in nicely. So yeah, for I think $30 for one of these kits here in Australia, probably a lot cheaper overseas. It's a fun little weekend build, and it's going to come up nicely, and it's maybe interested in getting maybe a 1/72 scale one. But yeah, I just basically built this. I left it upstairs on my dining table, not to eat on, that's the second modelling table, and every time I had a half hour to go by, I walked past the dining table, did a little bit more, and a couple of weeks later, here it is. So maybe next time you'll see this painted and deckled. Anyway, let's have a look at some other kits that I've bought since the last episode. New kits, what have I got since last time we spoke? Well, actually I bought this late last year and I started building it. This is the TBD Devastator in 1/32 scale, and it's a beastie. It's the float plane. I think I only made the one. I wanted to get the float plane one, not the wheels down one, because, well, float planes are cool. Look how massive these floats are. I've pre-assembled most of this. I've built the cockpit, built the wings up, the floats and whatever. I sort of stopped because I was like, I still want to keep going with it, obviously, but I just wanted to see how it fit together, how good it was going to be as a kit. And then I started to watch Doog's models, you know, Matt McDougall at Doog's. He's gone to town. He's actually riveted this with 0.2mm or 0.3mm 3D printed resin rivets, which is relatively easy to do, because if you can see those rivets there, they're quite large. If you've got a really good drill them out. They're all recess rivets is what I'm trying to say, and then you replace them with other rivets, just like my Super C Stallion. Anyway, he's done some more improvements, 3D printed seats, and I think the engine's actually really nice. But yeah, that's still on my radar. Still want to do it. It's a big boy, big beastie, 47cm wingspan, so that's pretty large. But staying of the nautical variety, let's go to the next one. Short Sunderland Mark V. Now, I have actually bought this kit before and then I sold it because I got the Mark 1.3, I think, and it was my father-in-law's 80th birthday last year, and his brother flew these for the Royal New Zealand Air Force. And so in between quite a few glasses of port and wine on that particular day, I was like a little kid again, listening to all his stories about how he flew these, and I realised, I've got to get the Mark V. So I've upgraded to the Mark V. It had the bigger engines, slightly faster, a few other little things with it, and yes, of course, I will do a Kiwi one day. It's a big beastie. I've just gone around and looked at all my models and my display cabinets and gone, how am I going to make these all fit? Luckily, this one will fit. So it looks like a lovely kit inside. Usual special hobby stuff. It looks a lot better than the Italeri kits of old. I need to get a mask set for it. I probably won't do much more than that. It's pretty well detailed. So yeah, speaking about old Italeri kits of old, this is another one I got. Excuse the upside down Miss Jane. And that's the Stinger. This is a brilliant looking aircraft. It looks fantastic. I love this sort of pose it's got with the Vulcans all going. If you don't know what this is the armed version of the C-119 medium transport used in Vietnam. And this is the Italeri kit. I have actually bought this before. I bought one, a boneyard one basically. Someone had already pre-assembled it, painted the inside, done a little bit of work, got it for next to nothing, and I thought, what should I do? Should I, keep going with their stuff? I'd rather, I do like to buy other people's stuff to finish them or to turn them into paint mules. I was explaining last week, I bought a Beaufighter, Tamiya Beaufighter, as a paint mule, because usually, it's cheap, you get good experience and practice. However, I thought, no, I'll start from scratch, and this one came up on special. It needs a full rescribe because it's all raised panel lines, and you can already see there's stressed skin on this, so this is a really, really good platform to get out those scribers and sanding sticks and what have you and get into it, and also to detail the interior. That's going to be a really, really fun model to do one day, not just yet. My patience is wearing thin for rescribing and doing other stuff of that sort. Last one to show you, and then I'll go. And that's this little biplane beauty. There's a chap on, look at all the reflection, sorry about that. So that's the CR42 Falco, the ICM kits. I'm just going to clear the bench, gets a bit more room here to show you. There we go. What a fantastic looking artwork, isn't it fantastic? I normally don't like doing wheels down, but I've got no choice in this matter because it's got wheels down biplane. So yeah, ICM makes some fantastic 1/32 scale kits. You could Could accuse them of just upscaling 148 to 132. I've built one of their I-16s. Beautiful kit, goes together nicely, but a bit plain in detail. Pardon the pun, haha. This one, however, looks fantastic. Paint job, you know, to die for. To go have a go at that one, the Italian version there. So yeah, looks like not many parts, one bag, some really good engine details. Won't take much to put together, I don't think. Just got to find a suitable pilot for him, and ICM do make a nice pilot set for this and for their other Axis aircraft. So with a mustachioed Italian man there in the back. So yeah, there it is. I have a lot more kits on order. I went a bit crazy this last week or two, and that includes a couple of massive Airfix kits. So stay tuned for that one.